Welcome to the Land and Blast podcast. I'm Chris Martin. Today we're with Alex Larson and our newest, should we say victim to the group? Is that what we should say? The newest victim?
No, I'm
Mike Lee.
blessed to be here.
Convert.
Well, what are we doing here, Alex?
We want to get to know Mike a little more.
Is that what we're doing today?
I think so.
Oh yeah, it's the Meet the Team series. Is that right?
Team
Okay,
series.
okay. So, you ever been on a podcast before?
Never been on a podcast. First time. I'm excited. I'm actually really excited.
Yeah. Well, we're really excited to have you in the group. I think I'll tell a little bit of my version of the story.
Sure.
So I would say, what was it, 2-3 years ago? I called you out of the blue and said, "Hey, you want to grab breakfast or coffee or something? Something along those lines."
Yeah.
And basically, completely failed to actually recruit you that time. But we became pretty good friends.
I think you said, "Hey, let's go have coffee," and I said, "You know what? I got one better. Let's go hunting."
That's true. We did. That is true.
Way to get Chris to get out of his chair.
Yeah. Well, and it was quite I learned a lot on that first trip,
Yeah.
but I think we both learned a lot.
We did. It was pretty instrumental. It was one of 2 or 3 things that all happened at the same time that pushed me in a health shift in trajectory. It was some of those conversations, some things with Dan, some things with my family, all hit at the same time, and you were part of that really helped me make some changes in my life. So that was huge.
Yeah. And for everybody listening out there, just so that it's not completely vague, Chris made an unbelievable shot on a cool blacktail. But then the pack out was, out in the Applegate, which that country gets steep, and it was a test.
In hindsight, it was a pretty easy pack out, but I about died. That's what it was.
Well, if I recall, it was quite a ridiculous long shot.
Yeah, that was all him. I just pulled the trigger.
Right? Got everything set up, whip Kestrel around, just go boom.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, there was a lot of in between. It was, "Mike, are you sure that this is going to work?" "I am 100%. If you aim where I'm telling you to aim and make a good shot, there's no wind."
At some point in there, I just
Basically
had.
saying it's all your fault if you.
But he didn't.
But he didn't.
I mean, technically, he missed by about an inch of where he was aiming. I mean, it was nearly as perfect of a shot
But
as we could
it was
hope
like
for.
950 yards. So in my mind, I'm like, I don't think I've shot at things that far, but it's like Kentucky windage, and I've got a guy saying, "No, just put the crosshairs there, pull the trigger, and the deer's gonna die."
Breathe.
Yeah,
And then at
there's
the
a
bottom
couple
of your
other things.
breath, press a little bit, and I mean, it was perfect. Right
Yeah.
behind the shoulder, deer went straight down. It was a huge eye opener for you too, because you were
Yeah.
like, "Wow, that just worked."
Yeah.
And I mean,
Immediately went out and had to spend more money on rifles.
yeah.
That was
But it was
fun.
It was cool because I got to learn a little bit about real estate. I was really green then. I think I was
what, 3 years ago?
3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And
How long have you been licensed now?
this is year 6. I think
Okay.
I'm year 6 in April.
Gotcha.
So, but it's been a really fantastic ride. I mean, we're supposed to be getting to know me from on the real estate side, and
Yeah.
I mean, it was the first 5.5 years were great. I have no complaints. Had an opportunity, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to work with you guys. So,
Well, glad
So what actually
glad you took
happened?
it.
So you spent the first 5 years working for Sotheby's,
Mhm.
and I'll be the first to say Sotheby's is a really good organization. They do a good job with the things they do. They've grown. I've got respect for their leadership, so on and so forth. There was different conversations I've had in the past with Sotheby's that I got to know some of the people there, and again, ton of respect. But I really like what I do. I really like being different than John L. Scott and Sotheby's and those different things. So anyway, that's my perspective.
when I started selling in this valley, it was, Sotheby's was so green or new at that time in the valley that I saw it as an opportunity to do something that was slightly different. There was,
And it was.
Scott Ralston up in
Yep.
Ashland,
Yep.
and his son Alex, and
Yep.
and then Alan, and that was it.
Mhm.
And so I remember it, and I'm fond of those memories and thankful for them. I mean, we were working at a kitchen table for 2 or 3 years,
Yeah.
and then we were able to get an office open, and that worked out well, but the location wasn't ideal for what we were selling. And currently, I was very thankful for where the offices are currently, but I just see that I'm in a position where I'm ready to grow, ready to grow professionally. And if you're not growing, you're shrinking. I firmly believe that in anything, whether it's shooting. Let's take shooting, for example.
Oh, my goodness. Yes.
Especially in shooting, yeah.
Yeah, last spring,
Very
you invited me out to Eastern Oregon area. The first day, probably, hit 75% out of,
It was less than I was expecting from you.
Yeah. And then we did a little bit of class work.
Yeah.
Went back out, didn't miss a target that next day at the long range stuff.
And that was 1,300 yards or so that we were stretching
12,
out to.
13. And it, the wind was not as bad, but still.
That first day, the snow was moving sideways.
But that's no excuse. I mean, the things that teacher, what was the name? Kalen.
Modern day sniper.
Yeah, check him out. He knows his stuff for sure. And just listening to the teaching that morning and then applying it. I applied it this year during the rifle season in October.
Yeah, because you shot that buck at 1,000.
Yeah, 1,033.
We're going to be precise.
Yeah. Not from an ego standpoint of 1,033. Just I just remember the yardage 1,033. I'm sorry, but okay, it was a good shot.
Yeah.
That's just I was actually thinking about all the process this year while setting up that shot. Whereas, had I not gone to that weekend and done that, I would have just jumped in there and I probably still would have been fine within, a kill on a deer's 12 to 18 inches,
Sure.
When you're shooting a 300 grain bullet that's going about 3,200 feet per second,
relatively
it's
close.
pretty much anywhere on that deer that's
it's
inside the bone structure. He's flopping. But no, all joking aside,
the idea, if you're not growing, you're regressing. And I think
anytime you can insert yourself with new people or you don't know what you don't know, right?
Oh, for sure.
I know that for me, the biggest thing is, trying to stay the course, and I think I'm rowing the right direction, and all of a sudden someone shines a light, and it's like, wait a minute, we're supposed to be going way over here. What happened? Yeah. So that's huge. To be able to come from a spot where you were, solid, but then realizing, hey, there's this itch I got to scratch over here.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's, and I don't think that you can take away from the don't know what you don't know piece too much. Just the 3 days of being, around you guys, there's a lot of things that I've never even thought about on the real estate professional side that I'm really excited. They're really excited to see what else is out there, to learn,
That's one of the coolest things about real estate is even when you've been in the business 15, 20, 30 years, you hear these other guys talking, it's always new things.
Yeah.
We get really good at learning over and over and over because you do get.
Well, 4 or 5 months ago, we headed up north to Eugene to meet with another, group of brokers that specialize in rural farm, outdoor properties. And it was really fun to share stories. We had some wins in this category. They had some wins in this category. We were able to share some stuff. And then we came home with some notes of oh, we're really not doing well in this sector. We're doing really great over here.
Yeah.
But it was nice to just open up your view and kind of learn some things.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, we've digressed enough from our mission that Sam gave us a mission we were supposed to go through.
Oh, man.
So
Be here for an hour and a half, Sam.
So I guess part of what we're doing, with the podcast is, this idea of being able to pull back the curtain and say, we're not just professional robots who sell real estate or whatever that I got accused of a couple different times. But anyway, but peeling back the curtain to who we are, what's important to us. I guess, Mike, again, welcome aboard to Martin Outdoor Property Group and Land Leader. We're super excited. Just tell us a little bit about your background, not real estate background, but just what makes Mike tick.
Oof. Well, when you say it that way,
yeah,
I'm the middle kid.
You're the middle kid.
And
between all Americans.
I'm sorry?
Between all Americans.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. No, well, yeah, you want to put it that way. I was the worst, not the worst, but in my house, just to give a little context, I had a brother that was 2 years ahead of or older than me, that was a 2-time state champion in wrestling, All-American at the University of Oregon. I had a brother below me. I mean, tougher than tough. Okay. Then I had a brother below me that was also a super stud, 2-time district champion. He did go and wrestle in college for a short little while, but just a stud. And both of them great guys. But there's all, full disclosure, I was never a state champion. And so I still ate, but not very much. But honestly, I'm so thankful now looking back that I wasn't a state champion, because at that time there was nothing more that I wanted other than to be successful in that sport, right? Mm-hmm. But it created who I am. Mm-hmm. And for a long time, that void, I was trying to fill that void. And most of it was through hunting, truly. And I mean, I feel like that we all have gifts. We all have things we're decent at or good at or great at. And I'm not bragging, but hunting came pretty natural. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like that might be one area that I was able to...
Well, you thrive in the outdoors. Yeah. You thrive in those challenging situations. Like, I've observed that, whether it's a hard hike or hunt or whatever that might be, like, you thrive on that experience.
Yeah.
Well, and had you become a state champion, would you have found your passion? Would it have led you down a different path?
Probably would have led me to a different place. Would have went to college at a different place.
Yeah.
So I guess that was a long story of, who am I? I'm driven. I love seeking adventure. I love my family. I enjoy working hard. I mean, this last weekend we went and built a 1/4-mile of fence out at the property. Got poison oak everywhere, but
it's a given.
But I'm thankful to be able to do that, especially working as a real estate person. Being able to get out there and sweat. We're to work by the sweat of our brow. And it's hard to find places to sweat as a real estate person.
We find some,
except when we do role playing.
I was going to say Wagner Creek, but
of course Mike would just blow by us on that one. But yeah, that was a fun one. 10 inches of snow.
Oh, like 10 to 12 inches of snow.
Couldn't get a razor around the trees, so he's like, "We're just gonna hike to the top.
He's going to climb 600-800 feet straight up
in the snow.
In a foot of snow.
Yeah, it was cool. I was totally prepared. I definitely had hiking boots on and not.
I'm pretty sure if he could have reached me, but I stayed far enough away that he couldn't thump me.
Well, I mean, were you able to see the property?
It was a beautiful day.
Yeah. That was what I told you. That
found cat tracks.
Yeah, that lion I was telling you about. Anyway, we're getting distracted again. Sam's gonna...
We have a really good editor.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Anyway, so you grew up in the Valley, correct?
Yep. Grew up, went to Central Point schools, went to college at Southern Oregon, joined the military for a little while, 6.5 years.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's really how I was able to get through college, because when I stopped playing sports...
It was Marine Corps or Army?
National Guard, so Army.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. Got deployed, which, interestingly, got married 6 days before I went out of country. Wow. That was one of the hardest things ever.
No kidding.
Especially as a 22-year-old.
No kidding.
Came back, ended up getting a bachelor's degree, and then a master's degree, and then taught school for 10 years, and drove a commercial jet boat for 10 years over at Hellgate. And while teaching school, I mean, again, I was...
So not diverse at all.
No, I've only done a few things. Against my... Really, I remember, I'll never forget my dad saying, "Hey, you got a good job. What are you talking about opening an outfitting business?" And it's kind of like making this little change. It's like, if I'm not being challenged, I want to do something more. And I, assured my dad that it would be okay. Like, hey, it's fine. What's the worst that can happen? You know, I'll be broke. Anyway, opened a business, quit teaching school, drove commercial jet boat, and then finally, when I was done with driving jet boat, got my real estate license, jumped into that, both feet, and so thankful that I did. Because I mean, I think that all those different paths and careers have helped me to connect with clients and learn. I mean, jet boats taught me customer service. Outfitting taught me customer service.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, more than
Very relational businesses.
Oh, 100, yeah. I mean, we talked about in our meeting this morning. You guys could tell how important it is to me to build relationship with clients.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's where I think that's part of where I got that.
One, did you have like real estate in your life before getting into, like, did you have a family member? What was your exposure to the real estate, like, professional?
Yeah, so my wife and I had bought 2 houses.
That was your whole exposure.
I signed on the line. My wife
Your wife
bought 2
did
houses.
the due diligence, she went through the hoops.
Shocking. I mean, that was one of the things. Once I got my license, I remember going, how am I going to learn this? I didn't even have any interest in it when I was buying my personal, properties. But, I think that was a maturity thing too. Mm-hmm. I was pretty immature when my wife was like, hey, we need to buy a house. I'm like, we're comfortable. What do you mean? We've got a little baby. Like, okay, well, let's go look at houses, I guess.
Yeah.
Right on. So talk to me, in the real estate side, just talk to me about a couple of things. You say relationships drive you. What else drives you? What else helps you every morning when you get up? Like, what are those core values or those things that you latch onto that just gives you purpose?
Your why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I always love this question with everybody.
yeah, no. I mean, really, as a man, we are to provide for our families. I mean, we are to take care of them. That's huge, So, I am commanded to take care of my family. Mm-hmm. But I don't that doesn't, my alarm, a lot of times I don't even wake up to an alarm, but I don't wake up and go, it's time to take care of my family. There's something inside of me saying, hey, let's set a high expectation and let's meet it or exceed it. Mm-hmm. And whether the expectation is just a personal goal or it's clients that have expectations and I don't want to let them down,
mm-hmm. I think one thing that's cool, and it runs true in all of us, it runs true in Ashley and Sam and Evan, and, I just see it over and over, is that all of us have certain degree of just innate self-starting desire. Like, we want freedom to be able to push the limit, but we get fulfillment from that freedom or that ability to accomplish something. And, I think, at least for me, I think this is probably true for you guys as well, that the idea of doing something over and over, monotonous, drives me up a wall. And this job will always give you something new to dread or look forward to. I'm not sure which one some days, but it will always give you something new and it will challenge you personally. And I think, the more years that go by and the older I get, the more I realize how much I need to be challenged. I need to have things in life. I need to have more mountains to climb. Mm-hmm. And this is a huge part of it.
Something that I like about, and it's probably in many industries, but specifically in our world, like transactionally or getting through listing setup, all those kinds of things, like, yes, we like challenges and there's nuances and uniqueness within each of them. But what's also kind of great is that each one builds on the other, right? So we're not just doing this next new thing and, sharpening our knife on some rock. Like, we are honing our knife along the way and getting better and better and better.
That, and, I think the fulfillment when somebody genuinely says thank you for when you're an expert in a field. In this move to Martin Outdoor Property Group, I had the opportunity to go and seek reviews from clients and actually directly ask them, hey, I'm preparing some marketing materials. Can you share 3 to 5 sentences from your transaction? Just thinking that I'd get mixed, kind of results. Or
classic. Mike was good.
Yeah. Just, I didn't know what to expect because I frankly
House sold.
Yeah, it worked. But I was truly taken aback. Like, my clients really appreciate the work and the stress that was exhibited or gone through to get their transaction to the point where, they were able to get through it and feel good about it at the end. And I'm just, I'm super grateful or I guess I'm super thankful that my clients are that appreciative. And, it sounds like a lot of fluff, but, when you have a client that's really thankful, like that is super fulfilling.
Oh yeah.
So.
What? And if I may say, let me brag. Close your ears for a second. I'm going to brag on him for a second. There is with what your client said about follow through, what your client said about going above and beyond is recognized. Like the caring that you display of just other people, like regardless of whether it's a real estate transaction or not, it just happens to be that's your job every day. That caring runs super deep, and it produces results. Like you go above and beyond for people because it's the right thing to do, not because you're chasing a commission, not because you're chasing an accolade or an attaboy. You're doing it because you're convicted to do it and you care. And that was one of the biggest reasons I was like, hey, that is a really good cultural fit for what we're trying to do at MOPG and Landlater. Everybody in this group, I think, for the most part, I can't think of an instance where I saw someone act in like a self-first mentality in a way that, we see that all the time. We catch it in ourselves too from time to time where we start to act in a self-first way. And it doesn't seem to be your default in any way, shape, or form to put. It seems you put others first, and that's appreciated.
Thank you, but I am human, so believe
yes, I know.
me.
I told you, Nick.
We all fall short,
Yeah.
and there's times when I have to check myself. But
Absolutely.
but I think if
the fact you're aware enough to
Yeah.
do that
hey, I got lucky.
is a huge part of what made it make sense in my mind to be like, Mike, if you want to come on board, that door is wide open. That door is not wide open for many people. So
Thanks.
We welcome you.
Thank you. That's a huge compliment too, and I appreciate it.
Well, I look forward to seeing what you can do over this next 2, 3, 4 years. I can't wait to see that trajectory moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it'll necessarily be in transaction necessarily volume. I hope it is that as well.
Yeah.
But I also think there'll be a personal and a business growth that I believe, as we're all doing the same thing together, that picture of linking shields and going forward, together it's huge. Iron sharpening irons. I know we've both made a number of scripture references since we've been sitting here and alluded to that. So let's just say it for what it is.
Yeah,
it's 100% a brotherhood, brother and sisterhood. Since but it's really a cool opportunity to do business in life with people who you want to be around and respect. So
yeah, 100%. Oh, boy, and the only piece that I would add to that is growing professionally, growing in my business. It gives me the opportunity, yes, to possibly do more transactions, but really the root of it is to help more people, and people, they look to us all the time. I mean, we were in our meeting today and somebody came through the front door and, and he was just getting his tires rotated down the street, but he's like, hey, what are you doing?
Your office is closer now. I can walk over here.
Let's talk about real estate. Great.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, welcome. I'm sure there's 1,000 different things we could have talked about, but I just appreciate you jumping on board. And I'll tell you what, if people are paying attention, we got way more stories coming from him. He's got some wild outdoor adventure stories that we want to hear. So anyway,
Mike's outfitting corner.
Oh, yeah. No, I do like
story time.
I do like telling stories. Right?
Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, guys, and we look forward to seeing you guys in the next episode.
All right.